Hello and welcome back to Texan Collection Odyssey. We are here for the July collection update. Got a lot of good CDs, a few good Blu-rays, but we're going to start off with some DVDs. So first, a little bit of TV. I have the third season of Curb Your Enthusiasm. I picked this up at Game Exchange, I believe. Really been getting into Curb. I finished the second season a little bit ago, and I'm slowly picking up the seasons as I go along, so definitely excited to watch this. I picked this up, Idiocracy, one of my favorite movies by Mike Judge, even though there's not that many. The creator of Office Space, starring Luke Wilson, I think his best performance. I love the concept of this movie. There's a lot of humor in it, but there's a lot of, kind of philosophical looks at a possible future that we may be facing. I took this, I got this on my first trip into Entertain Mart, which is a new store in a mall near me that I had no idea existed. I heard someone mention it offhand next to me in Half Price Books where I go often. And I was like, there's an Entertain Mart here? I had no idea. So I went in there and it was just, it was like, this is my place to be. Definitely has that video store feel that I love, walking in the store, seeing just rows and rows of movies and TV shows, and CDs and other things too, and games. And I also picked this up here at the same place, Entertain Mart, The Master of Disguise. Now, this is widely recognized as probably a really bad movie, probably a low point in Dana Carvey's career. But to me, this movie is a huge part of my childhood. Me and my cousin watched this over and over again. We still quote it to this day among my family. And it's just ridiculous, kids, Saturday morning cartoon type humor. And I love this movie completely. Unfortunately, this is only in a 4:3 ratio, the full screen version. As far as I know, the full screen version of this movie is the only version ever released. So that's really unfortunate. And I don't see any time soon getting a widescreen release. So we'll be waiting for that over here. All right, next is Surf's Up. So this is a kid's movie, and it actually is about penguins who surf. And there's also a chicken there who's voiced by John Heater. The main character is Shia LaBeouf. But Jeff Bridges is also in it. And on the surface, you might think, well, whatever, it's just another kid's movie. But it's a lot more than that. I think this is a really good qualifier for a good family movie. There's a lot of jokes and humor for adults, but plenty of good stuff for kids. And the heart behind this movie and the story is really, really touching to me. And it has really good music. There's a track on here done by Sugar Ray, which y'all know I love, and it's called Into Yesterday. And it's honestly ends up being what I think one of their best songs, and it's in this movie. So definitely pick this up for a watch if you see it around. It's one of those that sometimes you see a lot, kind of an early Blu-ray. All right, this is a double pack, and it actually does come with 2 discs, which is good because sometimes they cram them both on 1 disc. But this is the Hangover and Old School. So something significant, you wonder, well, these movies are like 10 years apart. I think this was like 2003, and this movie was like 2010 or something. And you wonder, why are they paired together? Well, they're both directed by Todd Phillips. And Todd Phillips now, I believe, is director of Joker and plenty of other movies nowadays. But he started here with Old School. I didn't really think about this before. I enjoyed both of these movies. Kind of good, R-rated comedy of the 2000s. You take them kind of as they are, for better or worse. But listening to the Rewatchables podcast, they made a good point of, this era of this type of R-rated comedy was begun and ended with Todd Phillips, to where their argument is that Old School was one of the first big hits of this type of comedy, and The Hangover was kind of the the crowning achievement of that era of movies that doesn't really continue on in the same state after 2009, 2010. So definitely good to get these up, kind of a deal by having them in a 2-pack, and a good comparison of them being together. All right, this okay. No idea why they changed the title to Live, Die, Repeat. When I went and saw it in the theater, it was called Edge of Tomorrow. And I think that's a way better title than Live, Die, Repeat. I don't know. That's just me. Some people say this is the best video game movie that is not based on a real video game. Basically, Tom Cruise's character, they're fighting a group of aliens that has invaded Europe, and their soldiers storming the beaches, and Tom Cruise is kind of has an interaction with an alien that allows him to relive the day, similar to Groundhog Day, and keep, getting an extra life every day in order to finally defeat this alien attack. Really cool concept and done very, very well. Alright, these next three were kind of cheap pickups because I actually see them a lot everywhere. There's some of those that kind of tend to be discarded in the Blu-ray, cheap bin. Hot Tub Time Machine, okay movie, not really great, but it has John Cusack in it, which is kind of cool. Picked it up just basically because it was cheap and got it at a deal along with these other ones, Cowboys and Aliens. Okay, whoops. Gotta be careful with the slipcovers. So this was actually Jon Favreau's movie, I believe, after he made Iron Man. So basically it was a situation of, that happens to a lot of directors where, all right, you can make any movie you want to make. What do you want to make? And he wanted to make Cowboys and Aliens with Harrison Ford and Daniel Craig. And I don't think it did very well at the box office. I could be wrong. And the movie itself is not really that bad. It's just kind of a little unorganized, maybe a little too long. But something interesting now is with The Mandalorian going to be coming out, it's supposed to have a Western style, Western and sci-fi mixed together, so that's exactly what this movie is. So maybe he got a little inspiration from this movie in hindsight now with him doing The Mandalorian, Jon Favreau. And Take Me Home Tonight. I watched this on TV a couple of years ago. I'd never seen it. A pretty recent movie, I believe. 2011. And I think this was kind of created by Topher Grace. It's basically, high school kid or a college kid comes back to his hometown, is kind of lost in life, never really has done anything significant, and so kind of a wild night of partying allows him to take the opportunity to take some action in his life. And obviously set in the 80s. The song Take Me Home Tonight does not play in the tradition of some other movies of the actual 80s era, especially like Dazed and Confused and things like that, where unfortunately they probably couldn't get the rights to the song, but they still use it as the title. Alright, now I've got a set of CDs from 2000s era, some more recent, but all Texas country. So, I love that, so let's get to them. This is Adam Carroll, Faraway Blues. Found this in Half Price Books. It was mismarked in the religion section. Maybe because there's songs in here labeled, Last Day of Grace and Peace on Earth. But it's not explicitly a Christian album. But Adam Carroll is one of my favorite songwriters, probably in my top 5 of all time. He's from kind of the same area where I'm at. He talks about things about East Texas and Louisiana and the Gulf Coast. And just awesome, awesome songs. I highly recommend listening to some if you haven't ever heard of him. I think my favorite one on this album would probably be Rice Birds and AFL-CIO. Speaking of songwriters, this is John Fulbright from The Ground Up. He is somewhat known as being connected to the Turnpike Troubadours, but he is definitely more of a songwriter, and these are kind of redheaded stranger style songs, not because it's a concept album, but because it's very stripped down, just kind of a singer and a guitarist style stuff. Alright, I got this at Half Price Books. This is 1100 Springs Country Jam. So I got a good picture of Country Jam, a good breakfast spread here. And obviously, double meaning Country Jam, also because they play country music that you can definitely jam to. Texas Afternoon is I think one of my favorite songs by them, and it is the first track on this album. But basically good straightforward Texas honky-tonk music. Alright, and this is Randy Rogers Band Hellbent. I'm pretty sure this is this year's album, 2019. And something cool about this is on the inside cover, they have little hints to all of their previous albums, if you can see. There's Neon, Trouble, Hellbent currently, Live at Billy Bob's, all kinds of little hints here related to past albums. And yeah, this is a good solid album. A little bit of a return to form for them from the more kind of polished Nashville style, kind of back to straightforward Texas country. All right, and this last one here. This is Brewed in Texas, the original Texas Happy Hour. It is by Compadre Records, who were kind of a group that collected Texas country songs in the early 2000s and put out compilation CDs that you saw in places like Buc-ee's or gas stations, kind of to introduce people to this new era of Texas music happening in the late 90s, early 2000s. But the list of artists who are on here is basically a who's who of who are legends today. Corey Morrow, Wayne Hancock, Todd Snyder, Reckless Kelly, Slade Cleaves, Chris Wall, Cooter Graw, 1100 Springs, Cross Canadian Ragweed, Roger Krager, John Evans, Blue Edmondson, Adam Carroll, Rusty Weir, Hayes Carl, Kevin Fowler, Jason Boland, and Seth James, and many more. But yeah, cool cover art. I love the design of the barley or whatever, the grain to make the alcohol, the beer flowing here, the track lists, and yeah, just a good, clean-looking album. But I've never seen this until I bought this off of Amazon, because the one that we listened to for so many years in my family, especially with my dad, is just a good collection of drinking songs, hanging out. We always had on this. This is a very used and abused burned CD copy of Brewed in Texas. No idea where we got it from. Someone burned it for us, and it really was the start to my dad's love and introduction to the 2000s era of Texas country, and mine as well. And yeah, definitely going to want to hold on to this. I kind of want to frame it, with a little plaque saying, like, this, this CD is in memory of all great country music shared on burned CDs in that era, But yeah, those are my collections for the month of July. And yeah, let me know if you saw anything that spoke to you. Let me know if you have any memories about Brewed in Texas or I Got the Guns, any of these albums or movies that you see here. And yeah, as always, thank you for watching, and happy collecting.